Hey everyone, what up? Matt Kaiser here. Well, it seems that Koei Tecmo has a massive pipeline, and most of all, it looks like they are going to double down on the smaller titles rather than the AAA games, which is really exciting. So all that said, let's break down and hear what they have to say. Now the news comes from the article Automaton West here, with GameBiz being the prime source here, which stating that Koei Tecmo wants to avoid over-reliance on AAA games, with a steady output of more mid-sized games. Now it says here that Koei Tecmo recently reiterated its game development pipeline, for the fiscal year ending around March 2027, emphasizing that it aims to pair its more AAA releases with a lineup of continuous mid-sized game releases. Now in its financial briefing for the first quarter, Koei Tecmo announced that by the end of fiscal 2027, it plans to release 6 major PC console titles, as well as 19 mid-sized titles with 2 in-house online mobile games alongside several other unannounced projects. For reference, the company counts titles like Wo Long and Neo as major, while mid-sized titles, which refers to the likes of Atelier and Nobanga's Ambition, as well as remasters. In line with Koei Tecmo's recent workforce expansion, the company said it's aiming to grow its development pipeline, both in quantity and quality. But as GameBiz points out, the company repeatedly emphasized that it wants to avoid over-reliance on major releases by making sure its portfolio is diverse. With development costs rising, it has become increasingly risky to count on the success of standalone AAA releases, which is why Koei Tecmo intends to fortify its lineup and supplement revenue through a steady stream of mid-sized releases, remasters, and Switch 2 ports. Among its already announced titles, the company highlighted Team Ninja's Wo Long 2 Wings of Ember and Omega Force's Attack on Titan 3 as 2 major releases with the highest expectations. Since Koei Tecmo still has plenty under wraps, including the mysterious Fuji, which is receiving support from Japan's government, there are likely quite a few announcements to look forward to in the upcoming period. Now this news has been really interesting, and honestly, it's refreshing to hear, as in the current gaming industry, most of the big companies are heavily catering towards these just big, massive AAA releases that not only cost a lot of money to make, but take so long to development, and have to reach a certain level of milestone and units to break even, at the cost of underperforming, which will lead to, of course, massive layoffs. Sony is the worst example here, and Nintendo is actually doing the opposite, which is amazing, especially with their recent output of bigger and smaller titles, especially for the Switch 2. So to see Koei Tecmo thinking of a similar approach is music to my ears. Now as for the 6 AAA games, we know one of them is obviously Wo Long 2 and the other is Attack on Titan 3, but as for the third one, I think we expect it to be Dead Alive 7, and the fourth one is likely codenamed Fuji, which is said to be a brand new action game based on East Asian visuals. Whether or not it's something akin to like a Souls-like or even a Wild Hearts, it's hard to say, though it's equally hard to pinpoint the other 2, which we'll have to wait and see. Though my only hope is that it's Ninja Gaiden 5, but that's just, wishful thinking. And the other one could be, a Samurai Warriors game, like the next brand new Samurai Warriors game. But what's got me equally curious, however, would have to be the 19 mid-sized titles. And it boils down to mainly things like AA titles, as well as remasters and Switch 2 ports. Currently for the former, we of course had Blue Reflection Quartet come out, and next year we're going to have Atelier Caria to look forward to. But there are other things that Gust could do, whether they make another Atelier game that's more on the lines of, say, Selfie 2 or Resiana Red and White, especially when they got now a huge bulk of Team Ninja absorbed into their studio. There's a lot for them to do really when it comes to Room. Hell, they can even go back and revive like say the Artelenko series, which is something that's been on the cards, though that never came to fruition at that point. or they can even do more remakes, like with Marie, or for the rest of the Atelier games, like say the rest of the Salzburg trilogy, or even Mana Khemia or Iris. Or we could even get more Warriors games from Omega Force, whether it be like say another Warriors game, like whether it's anime or Nintendo themed, or we can even get more experimental games, akin to Dragon Quest Builders and even Pokemon Pokopia. As for remasters, we do have the upcoming Dynasty Warriors 3 remaster, and also last year we had Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, and this could open the door to have games like say Atelier Iris or Mana Khemia, or even the older Dead or Alive games, or even more of the older Dynasty, Samurai, or even Warriors Orochi games as well. Heck, even Ninja Gaiden 3 could get the Black treatment like 2. And there's of course the Switch 2 ports, as we obviously seen the likes of Dynasty Wars Origins and obviously getting Dynasty Wars 3 remastered, and we also had Atelier Ryza DX Trilogy and Atelier Yumiya for that matter, and Wolong is coming to Switch 2 as well. So there's a lot of avenue for other Koei Tecmo games to get some, whether it be the Warriors games from Nintendo like say Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity or Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes to get Switch 2 ports, that would be great. But we could also see some other games being ported, like say the Neo series, and again this could be co-PM, but Ninja Gaiden 2 Black and especially Ninja Gaiden 4, especially with the latter getting maybe like say a Black Sigma treatment that adds like say new weapons, balancing, new bosses, and maybe an additional playable character like Tyron or Ayane, as that's mostly a tradition with the series, but you know, that's co-PM, and obviously those two games haven't come to the Switch, opposed to say the Master Collection and Ragebound. Upon that, we got a bulk of the recent most character action games on the Switch, let alone Switch 2, whether it's like Devil May Cry 5 or the Bayonetta series or Nier Automata, so I think there's room for that. And I even asked my community here to give on what they want, so I will just point to my community now and see what they would like to see from Koei Tecmo. And now we're at the community segment here where I ask you guys of what you guys like to see from Koei Tecmo, whether it's ports, remasters or Switch 2 ports, and we got lots of comments here. The first one going out to Mr. Dimray with their comments saying lots of Gust games from the PS2 era, like Mana Khemia, Artelenko or Atelier Iris, which I heavily agree on those fronts. And next up we have is /stand with their comment saying Switch 2 ports of Ninja Gaiden 4, Dead or Alive 1 through 5, and Fatal Frame getting a Legacy collection a la Mega Man and Castlevania, which I think would be really awesome on that front. Next up we have is my good friend Super Playtendo with his comments saying the first two Hyrule Warriors games, Age of Calamity especially needs a Switch 2 version. Which I agree, because obviously playing on the Switch 1 with Age of Calamity is rough. Like it's probably the most roughest Warriors game to play on that system. Next up we have is Malik TG saying I would love to see a Mystic Heroes remake, which is interesting. Next up we have is Cactus Man 07 Pim. I like Dragon Quest Heroes, The World's Tree Woe and The Blight Blow, and Knights of Azure would be also nice. And I would love to see those games also ported as well. I think those would be really cool, and I would even like to see Gus return on, the Knights of Azure series, and also maybe Square Enix and Koei Tecmo can do like say a new Dragon Quest Heroes game, or even do a Final Fantasy Warriors game. Like I think Dissidia deserves a much better recognition as a Warriors game than say a mobile title. Next up we have is my good friend Kirk, and he says, I would love to see Ninja Gaiden 4 as well as the Neo games. Heavily agree on Ninja Gaiden 4 that desperately needs to come to Switch 2 to give some, more life and extra sales. And then lastly we have is my good friend Jay the One-Eyed Gamer saying Samurai Warriors 2 Remaster, or even the reveal of the next Samurai Warriors game. Also maybe a port to the more modern hardware of Sayuki Journey to the West, and an HD collection or remaster of all the Kessen games. Those ones are really interesting, and I'd like to see obviously Samurai Warriors get the same treatment and love as Dynasty Warriors is now getting, especially if they make like say a Samurai Warriors Origins as well as a Samurai Warriors Remaster of sorts. So hopefully that is the case. And once again, thanks to my community for posting their comments here and let me allow to interact with them and see what they think of this news entirely. Overall, this news has made me really curious on what those upcoming games could be as we approach the Tokyo Game Show around next month and soon the Game Awards, and we could see a couple of those announcements take center stage. Though with that said, that'll be it for me. Let me know of what you guys think of this news and tell me what remasters, remakes or Switch 2 ports you would like to see from Koei Tecmo yourself. If you enjoyed this industry deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe if you're someone new, and the notification icon if you want to stay up to date for more industry deep dive and analysis and other things entirely. Not only that, but also hype up the video, and it helps out a lot. And you can also follow me on my various socials and support me on Patreon, where not only you get ad-free videos, but extra goodies yourself. With that said, special thanks to my patrons, and Mad Kaiser, out.